Welcome to the presentation of the 17th edition of the International Architecture Biennale. I'm speaking from the headquarters of the Venice Biennale, the home of the great machine that will realize this exhibition. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the Biennale staff for the work done and for the work that is ahead. I want to thank Hashim, Sarkis and his team. I want to thank all those who will contribute to the realization of the exhibition, the different institutions, our partner Rolex, sponsors and donors. I want to thank the 63 countries that so far have confirmed their participation. This is my 9th Biennale of Architecture, the last. And as of now, I want to thank the new president, Roberto Cicuto, who will soon take office. The Biennale, after years of continuity, the architecture exhibition has come of age, retracing the various editions of the past. Their reading strikes us even more clearly today. Each curator placed themselves at a precise observation point and, with scrutinizing eye, tried to bring into focus the reflections arising from their observations. Sometimes they concentrated more closely on topics inherent to the discipline. Some years ago, people said that they were just creative architects, but increasingly less architecture. We have rediscovered architecture as a discipline instead. At other times, I would say more frequently, their gaze went to the relationship between architecture and civil society, and this was most frequent in the recent biennales. And in this regard, we have often reflected on the ability of civil society to formulate questions and express these needs, and on the obstacles which hinder architecture's more widespread presence and how to overcome them. There has been a constant theme over the years, the social advantages which architecture can catalyze. Architecture makes us more aware individuals. It helps us become citizens, more aware of what happens around us. It makes us citizens, not just consumers. The space we share, the place where a civilization has developed. It makes us aware and gives us the possibility to consider welfare in a much more complete way. And of the many past editions, I would like to recall the exhibition curated by Kazuyo Sejima. People Meet in Architecture was the title, evoking this spirit and these principles. Kazuyo Sejima, who will be the president of the jury of this year's exhibition, and it is a great pleasure for us. Architecture helps us not to waste resources. It helps us to donate to ourselves some happiness. Hashim Sarkis' exhibition has a broad-ranging gaze. He observed in the current reality in both developing and developed countries the need for important adjustments in living conditions. Thus, the gaze of the curator and the exhibition ranges even further afield. Architecture becomes the reference point of a vast interdisciplinary commitment, a vast cultural and political commitment. Hashim's exhibition is a call to arms for architecture, a call this discipline transmits to the others. We must transmit a state of urgency in both the developed and the developing world. The ongoing changes call for new vision and projects for individual homes, individual needs, collective needs, cities, nature, entire territories. These adjustments ask us to consider the human and the social being as an existence in relation to. Hence, this living together of this 17th exhibition. And this must be the starting point in order to appropriately address the changes. We live in a time characterized by a feeling that we are no longer being assured an increasingly widespread progress, but instead we are becoming victims, we are feeling like victims of the changes progress entails. This is a very sensitive moment, as many people can take advantage of suffering and frustration to impose restricted visions, to impose and formulate ultra-defensive campaigns, a short-term vision based on fears. Also, recent events lead us to stress that everything we have in front of us requires instead a more and more enlarged collaboration rather than a restrictive vision of our existences. And we want to stress that in the current moment, each civilization has its identity only because of the projects. In the projects, it can develop for itself and for its future to valorize resources and overcome obstacles. We, as Biennale, we are still asking ourselves, what is an architecture exhibition? What is its objective? We have often said that an exhibition of architecture has to be a moment of dialogue for insiders of the world of architecture. But an exhibition is also a call to the public, a call to become visitors, to become attentive visitors, to become direct witnesses, eyewitnesses. An exhibition asks its visitors to be willing to broaden their gaze. It asks its curator to become both a scientist and a dramaturg. It is not enough to propagate knowledge. We must contribute to fostering awareness. It is not enough to reveal problems. We must nourish a desire for architecture through examples and proposals, projects and achievements, thus feeding the desire for architecture. See you soon.
Hello world. I'm here in my office in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which has been turned into a Venice lab of sorts for the duration of the preparation period for the Biennale. I'm here with an amazing curatorial team consisting of architects and students from MIT and from around the world. They are not all here today, only those who could be in Boston and at 7 a.m. for the filming session. Let me walk around and introduce them to you.
Hello everyone, I am Roy Salgueiro. I'm an architect from Galicia in Spain, and I am one of the assistant curators.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Kozlowski. I'm from Brazil. I'm the other assistant curator.
Hello, I'm Julia Benyaku. I'm from Albania, and I'm part of the research and development team.
Hi, I'm Nainika. I'm from Mumbai in India.
Hi, I'm Wu. I'm from China.
Hi, I'm Ardita. I'm from Indonesia.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from the United States.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I'm from China.
Hi, my name is Jitske and I'm from the Netherlands.
Today, the Biennale is sharing the list of participating countries and individuals with the world. Today, as curator, I also get to elaborate further on the theme and share with you some examples. The theme of the Biennale 2020 is its title. How will we live together? The title is a question, and the question is an open question. It says, how? Speaks to practical approaches and concrete solutions, highlighting the primacy of problem solving in architectural thinking. Will signals looking toward the future, but also seeking vision and determination, drawing from the power of the architectural imaginary. We stands for first person plural, and thus inclusive of other peoples and of other species, and appealing to a more empathetic understanding of architecture. Live means not simply to exist, but to thrive, to flourish, to inhabit, and to express life, tapping into architecture's inherent optimism. Together implies collectives, commons, universal values, highlighting architecture as a collective form and as a form of expression. And the question mark indicates an open question, not a rhetorical one, and looking for many answers, celebrating the plurality of values in and through architecture. The question, how will we live together, is at once an ancient question and an urgent one. Aristotle asked it when he was defining politics, and he came back with the model of the city. Every generation asks this question, and every generation answers it differently. Today it's our turn. We are confronting increasing political polarization. We are confronting climate change. We are confronting rapidly changing social norms and rising global inequalities. We are compelled to answer this question at a different scale. We're asking it at the scale of the body, at the scale of the city, at the scale of the planet. The Biennale 2020 comprises 114 projects from architects from 46 countries from around the world, with a larger representation of women architects and architects from Africa, Latin America, and Asia. These architects have provided projects that range from the analytic and conceptual, to experimental, to tested and proven, to projects that have been widely deployed. In addition to the projects, the Biennale includes stations, research stations, developed by universities from around the world that support the theme. The Biennale is divided into 5 scales. 3 of them are in the Arsenale, and 2 of them are in the Giardini. This is a model of the Corderia building, which is a 300-meter-long building in the Arsenale, which houses the 3 first themes. The first one is among diverse beings. It's about architecture and the human body, but the new human body, reconceived technologically and politically, and then in relationship to other species. How do we coexist and cohabitate this world with other species? As an example of the projects in the section about the body among diverse beings, this is an installation that is a techno-organic soil landscape where humans and non-humans, machines and other species, interact in defining a new ecosystem of cohabitation. The second scale is about the household, the new household, how architecture is catering to new demographics, shape of the family, new densities, how architecture is using new tectonics and materials to address the housing market, and how the apartment building is being reconceived and rethought across the world to address new forms of collective living. As an example of the projects in the section on new households, this project explores a possible housing model for the millennial generation across Africa. It suggests a strategy to densify the cities by overlaying new, light, individual apartments over existing family houses. And the third scale in the Arsenale, in the Corderia, is about communities, about emerging communities, asking questions like how architecture engages new forms of civicness, how communities are reorganizing themselves spatially, and also asking questions about how society equips itself with what we call social equipment, parks, schools, hospitals. And the third section is dedicated to what we're calling cohabitats. This is prepared by universities around the world, asking the question how we live together in different settings. Refugee camps, metropolises, megalopolises, across international borders. As an example of the projects in the section about communities, this project presents an innovative system of digital education in school design in Armenia, as well as the positive changes that this project is introducing at the scale of neighborhoods and cities. This is the model of the central pavilion in the Giardini. This is where the original biennales were held in the 1890s. This building is going to house two themes, two scales. One is about borders and one is about the planet. In the theme Across Borders, we will examine how architecture helps straddle borders, political borders and geographic borders. One part of that theme will be dedicated to the global commons, to the Amazon, to the poles, to the oceans. Another part will be dedicated to examining how architecture helps straddle borders, whether they are the borders between the rural and the urban, or political borders, or borders across inner urban divides caused by infrastructure or income inequalities. As an example of the projects in the section Across Borders, this project represents a bridge which crosses over rail yards in Los Angeles and becomes a public amenity connecting different communities across urban borders. The fifth scale is about the planet, how we live together as one planet. We will be asking questions about the future of the planet, its growth. We will be asking questions about climate change and how architecture helps mitigate it. We will be asking questions about the relationship between Earth and other planets, outer space. And we will be marking the 75th anniversary of the United Nations by re-examining its charter and expanding its scope. As an example of the projects in the section on One Planet, this project reinterprets the concept of infrastructure and turns it into a mediation between people and the earth. Back to Venice. This year, we will be dedicating a room to this amazing city titled Coming Together in and Around Venice. We want to celebrate the city's resilience, its hospitality, and the example it sets of how we live together. Finally, I wanted to conclude by thanking President Paolo Baratta for his trust and support throughout, and for the amazing Biennale team for being such great partners on this excellent adventure. See you in Venice.